Hi, I'm Kristen Loafman. Welcome to Work for Cobb, where we will share exciting things about Cobb County and how to get hired with the county. Today we're focusing on public safety and resume tips. First up, we have Carly Brooks, who is a recruiter specialist in our Human Resources Department. Hi, Carly. How are you?
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for inviting me today.
Not a problem. So resumes are a big topic for people looking for jobs. Do we use resumes?
With Cobb County government, we have an application form that we require people to fill out for our positions. However, they can attach a resume or a cover letter or additional documentation if they'd like. But we do require that all the information be on an application in order for us to accept your interest in the position.
So if I wanted to supplement the application with a resume, is that allowable?
Yes, most of our jobs will allow for you to attach a resume, and some of them will require you that you submit a resume as well. And it'll be noted when you apply whether it's required or optional.
Okay, so when I'm filling out an application, can I put, when it asks for a description, see resume?
We would like that you not do that. The reason that we have everybody submit an application is because we get a lot of interest in our jobs. And as a recruiter, I'm having to sort through people to see if they meet the minimum requirements, if they would be a good fit for the position. So when you say see resume, a lot of times we don't look at that off the bat. That would be supplemental, that would go over to the hiring manager. But for a recruiter, we're looking at the application, and you would not want to put see resume because I wouldn't have a good grasp on what your past careers have been or what your skill set would be. So you definitely would need to put into the boxes that we have what you were working on at those positions in order to move on to the next round of the hiring manager seeing your application.
Well, that's great to know that they don't use machines to scan all that.
No,
stuff,
some companies,
like some
will kind of pick up on keywords. So I would, when you're filling out the application, I would recommend also looking at the job that you're applying for and trying to match, your skill sets that you have. Try to focus on the ones that are required for the job as well to make sure that you cover those to show that you're the best candidate and that you have the skill set needed for it.
Great. So if somebody is wanting to attach just additional supplemental information with a resume, what types of things does a resume include?
Well, the resume should definitely include your education and your job history, your work history. If you have, if you've been in the job market for a while or you've had several careers. If you're right out of college, sometimes people get a little bit afraid of what to put on a resume because they might not have the job experience. But I would definitely focus on your strengths. If you've taken specific classes in an area, say maybe you're an engineering major, if you have certain programs that you've been exposed to that you're familiar with, definitely put those on your resume, as well as any kind of internships that you may have had or volunteer opportunities. Not everybody has a lot of work experience when they come out of college, but you might be surprised how much experience you've had just from volunteering and from just maybe organizations that you've been in as well.
So when I'm creating my resume, should I section it out with different topics? Do I need to include my full home address, or can I just do an email address and phone number? How does all that work?
So the most common type of resume that we would see is a chronological resume. So usually you have a header type that would show your name. I don't recommend putting a home address on there. You could put like an email or a phone number, some way to get in contact with you, but a home address really isn't needed on a resume. On an application it might be required, but not for a resume. And then usually you'd list your education next, and then maybe start with your most recent career and then move backwards. You also want to make sure that the careers that you're listing, your work experience, is related to the job that you're applying for. So if you've been in the job market for 20 years, you might not want to list, the jobs that you had in high school because they might not be relevant to the position that you're applying for. So make sure that, as you get more established in your career, some of those earlier jobs, they might can fall off just as not being as applicable to your current career. Or if you're changing careers, then you would also want to make sure that you include, if 20 years ago you did have similar experience in that field, then you would want to make sure that you did include that. So just making sure that it's relevant. And then also references. A lot of times people ask if they should put references on the resume. References aren't necessarily required on a resume. I've seen where people just put references available upon request. That's what I would suggest putting instead of actually listing out, your reference information. And then if an employer wants to get in contact with them, then they can ask you for more information.
Okay, so if you're a seasoned professional and you have just a wide array of expertise and you're wanting to apply for like a CEO position or something, or a director or a manager position, and a Chronicle resume may not be specifically geared for those jobs. Is there another type of resume you would be able to use for that in that instance?
Right. There's another common type that's called a functional resume, and it would list more of your job skills that you have. You can still list in your experience in there, but it would mainly focus more on your skill set and your maybe accomplishments or your accolades that you've had. What I like to do is combine those, so have more of a chronological and a functional one combined. So within your job experience, you can list your accolades, you could list your accomplishments. I also like for people to put measurable successes that they've had. So instead of saying, results oriented, maybe putting in a statistic of increased sales by 15% over previous year, or something that's a little bit more tangible to a hiring manager that's reading it to show, that they have demonstrated those kind of successes.
Okay, great. And then along with along with resumes, we also have cover letters. Do we accept cover letters? Do you suggest employees or people applying for jobs provide cover letters when they're applying?
We do accept cover letters. I would say this about a cover letter: it's not necessarily required for a position, and I've seen some really good cover letters, but the most of them I have are just kind of what I would call fluff. They just use kind of non-descriptive words, say that you're interested in the position, and it's not really specific. So I would say if you're going to use a cover letter, make sure that you put words and you put information in there that relates back to the job that you're applying for specifically, and really sell yourself in that letter as this is why I'm the best candidate. And don't just make it generic like you might have sent it out to several different organizations, but really gear it towards the job that you're applying for specifically. Those types of ones really stand out, especially if you can if there's a specific line in a job description about something that position will be doing and how you've done it in the past. If you can really highlight those in the cover letter, it will stand out. But if you're not good at writing cover letters, or you're not sure if it's the best, I would say it's okay to omit a cover letter and just submit a resume.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time today, Carly. We appreciate all of this great insight on resumes. We'll be back after this message.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing you. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're gonna need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change your past, but you can definitely change your future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? My gentle technique isn't really working. You need something a little more
persuasive.
Yes.
You listen, and you listen good.
Hey, where's my sandwich? Terry? Terry!
Take it from me, the King DMC. It's a real cool thing to get your GED.
Get that diploma!
Now hold on and we'll find you free GED classes. Capiche?
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
And we're back. We're focusing on Department of Public Safety careers with the county today. And I have with me Ralph Rogers, who works with the Department of Public Safety Internal Affairs Recruitment Division. Hi, Ralph. How are you?
Good, ma'am. How are you?
Great. So how long have you been with the county?
23 years.
Great. And have you been in Internal Affairs the entire time?
No. Started out as a patrolman or patrol officer, moved to detectives, property crimes, and then for the last 9 years, internal affairs and recruiting.
So I understand we have a lot of opportunities for police officers. Right now we're doing a lot of hiring, especially with the SunTrust Stadium coming up and opening in April. So if somebody is interested in a career in police work or law enforcement, what would they do?
Well, the initial process would be to go online and complete an application. They would go online to Cobb County or cobbpolice.com and look for the public safety application for a police officer. And they would complete the application and submit it.
Great. And so once they submit it, what is the process like for the applicant?
Well, initially, once they complete that application, they would submit it. HR would do a screening of that. Then it would come to our office, and we would screen it a second time to make sure it was completed properly. Once it's completed, then we will contact that applicant via email and give them further instructions on the hiring process.
Okay, and so what type of skills are you looking for when you're looking at the applications?
Well, Cobb County Police Department does not require that you have any experience, but when you speak of skills, initially you would want someone that is a quick learner, that could follow directions, that works well with others, and most importantly, they have to be ethical. But that's not necessarily a skill. But so there's no necessary skills that they have to actually have, but there's some values that would be good for a police officer to have.
So what type of things do you do on a day-to-day basis as a police officer?
Officers would answer calls for service from 911, just routine patrol. They might encounter citizens within their beat that they are patrolling, and community policing as well. So a myriad of things during a shift, and not just one particular thing that they actually focus on.
Right. So I've been fortunate to go out on a couple of ride-alongs with our officers, and I know we had an array of different things that we went to. We went to some traffic, directing traffic, and for an accident, and we had some other stuff. So it's about relationship building as well, isn't it?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. And so once you contact them about the further steps after the initial application, what types of things do they have to do? They have to take tests? Are there skill sets? Are there agility things that they have to do?
Yes. Initially, once they return their paperwork to our office, they're assigned to an investigator. That investigator will now contact that applicant and set up all the various testing. Initially, there is not a written exam, just a physical abilities test. However, the applicants do have to have have to be PRO certified, will have to have an exam that post accepts, and those examples will be the SAT, ACT, any college entrance exam. If they have that, that would suffice as far as the testing. The only other testing they have to do initially is a physical abilities test, which will be set up through that investigator. And it's an obstacle course type test that they have to actually pass, a physical abilities test.
Okay, so is there an amount of time they have to do that in? What types of things are in that agility test?
Yes, the test, the total time allowed is 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow.
And again, it's an obstacle course type test where they traverse different obstacles. And actually, you can see a copy of the video at cobbpolice.com or cobbjobfair.com. And that is all set up through your investigator.
Great. Now, when you're going, you get hired. What happens after you get hired?
Well, once the background investigation is complete, we send that information through the chain of command. And if everyone in the chain of command agrees, then they will set up a actual interview date with the chief of police. During that interview with the chief of police, that's when the actual applicant is offered the final position. And then they will go through personnel and go through an orientation to actually get hired.
And so there is training that they have to go through, obviously. They'll have to go through training. So how long does that training take?
Well, approximately 19 weeks. Our academy, we have our own county-run or state-run academy here in Cobb County. It's 19 weeks, and it's basically Monday through Friday, weekends off and holidays off. And the applicants have to go through that academy and actually pass to become certified police officers.
Great. And then once they do that, they're out on the road and work with a field training officer and...
Yes. Once they graduate from the academy, they spend at least 12 weeks with a field training officer, and they're graded on a daily basis. And they're graded on the things that they learned actually in the academy. So they have to put it into real world experiences. Then after that, they will be observed for 7 additional weeks on their own on a weekly basis. And if they pass that phase, then they will be cut loose on their own.
Right. So having been with the county for 23 years and working with the police department, I'm sure you have a lot of great memories and stories. Is there one particular story that really stands out for you that would resemble the true meaning of law enforcement and police work?
Well, one incident comes to mind, and I was actually not on duty at home, and a neighbor reported a fire. And I actually went next door to assist in that, with helping the residents get out of the building. And like I said, I was not on duty, but that was the most memorable thing thus far within police work.
Great. Well, thank you for your time today. I'm sure that all of this information will be great for those that want to apply for our police positions. And again, we are hiring, and we have several things coming up. And you've just segmented us to fire. So next up, we'll have our fire department.
Well, I first started skating with my friend. He had an extra board, and then he just gave it to me, and I've been skating ever since. Well, when I don't land a trick and I have my mind set on something, and I'm not getting what I want, I just keep going for it until I get it right. My mom, she didn't go to college, so she wants me to experience that whole thing, and so I could end up getting like a good job. I think to get into college, I'll have to be determined, just like when I want to get a new trick, and skating's helped me realize I've got what it takes.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/therightseat.
Hi, and we're back, and I have Alan Land, who is a background investigator with Internal Affairs, and he focuses on fire and emergency services. Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
Good. How long have you been with the department?
Been with the department almost 20 years.
Oh my goodness. So during that time, what have you done?
I started out as a firefighter. I worked as a firefighter in the 2nd Battalion and 4th Battalion. Did that for about 15 years, 16 years. I was also on the hazardous materials team, and I was also assigned to the mobile command vehicle, which rolls out with fire and police, numerous activities.
Great. So I understand we have fire positions coming open soon.
We definitely do. We're definitely hiring in the fire.
Great. And so what does a firefighter do? Well, other than fighting fires, of course.
Well, certainly we do fight fire. We fight a lot of fire in Cobb County. What a lot of people are not aware of is that approximately 75% of our call volume are EMS calls. People wonder why, when someone has a heart attack or there's an allergic reaction to the school, why they see a fire truck. They don't understand why we take the time to send a fire truck out when we send the ambulance. What they don't realize is that all the firefighters in Cobb County are at least EMT intermediates or paramedics. So we can provide that pre-hospital care on the spot. We can usually be anywhere in the county in about 4 or 5 minutes. So we're able to provide that care and do a much quicker and better job of saving a life.
Well, that's great. So what skills do you look for when you're hiring firefighters?
Well, we certainly want people to be in good physical shape. We want people to have good cognitive skills, people that are able to make quick decisions based on the training that we provide. We want people that want some people skills, because we do deal with people. And people are not always calm. When your house is burning down, when you've wrapped your car around a tree, when someone's child is sick or are very ill, they're not always calm. So we have to be able to cipher through that and be able to get the information and make the decision to handle that with the best course possible.
Great. So if somebody wants to apply to be a firefighter, how would they go about doing that?
We open the process usually once a year. It's open for about 30 to 45 days. They apply online. We post on cobbfire.org. It's posted on the county website and also through cobbjobfair.org. When the application process is opened up, we accept applications during that window. Once they've submitted an application and they passed a pre-screen, then they are invited to take our written test, and that's usually done in the early summer.
Great. And so, speaking of tests, is there an agility test like there is with the police department?
There is an agility test. The first test that I spoke of, the written test, is again, cognitive skills. There's some math. Also, there's a personality profile built into that, and that helps us identify the type of person that we feel that we can train to be a Cobb firefighter. The physical agility test is somewhat of a combat challenge. You're actually doing the type things that you would do as a firefighter. You're rolling hose, you're advancing hose, you're climbing stairs, carrying a tool, dragging a 150-pound dummy, raising a ladder, using pike poles, using hearse tools, just the things that we do, and it's timed, and you have to be in good shape to be able to pass that test.
Do you need any specific education to become a firefighter? Do you provide that training after the applicant is hired?
We do all of our own training. You'd have to have at least a high school diploma or a GED. College is not required, but it is preferred, and I think you're going to see that more and more as you get into the promotional process. But we provide all of our own training. Our academy is 9 months long, and the first portion of that is the fireside, and that's 3 months, and the remaining 6 months is the emergency medical training. And when you graduate from our academy, you're an NPQ1 firefighter, and you're an EMT advanced. Great.
And then are there any things that may disqualify you from becoming a firefighter?
Well, that's what those are things that we find when we do the background investigation. Some of it we pick up right up off the application. If you've had more than one felony arrest, drug use might be too frequent or too soon. The biggest thing that we tell people, if you've been arrested, put that down. If you've used drugs, anything like that, the questions that we ask for the background is to be honest. It's sad when we have people that we end up putting out of the process, and we call it honesty and integrity, for something that wasn't necessarily out of our hiring guidelines. It's the fact that they omitted it, the fact they said, no, I've never done that. And we have to tell people from the beginning, be honest and be consistent in your answers.
Great. Well, thank you for your time, Alan. We appreciate it. Next up, we'll have our 911 communications.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on line.
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
And we're back. We have Andrew Bruce with 911 Emergency Communications with us now. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Great. How long have you been with the county?
Been with the county just under 4 years.
Oh, great. So what exactly do you do?
I'm a 911 dispatcher. I work both the phones and the radio. We answer the emergency and non-emergency calls coming into our 911 center here in Marietta.
Mm-hmm.
We determine the appropriate call class and send out the correct help, whether it's police, fire, or medical.
So basically, you're the heart of our Department of Public Safety.
You could say that. It's where it all starts. Whatever you need, police, fire, medical, it starts with a 911 call. And whatever information we get on that call determines how the rest of it goes.
Great. And so are there opportunities for advancement within
there are.
as a dispatcher?
Once you've been fully trained for 2 years, you can move up either as a supervisor, a training officer, both on the police radios and fire radios. And we also have an education team and a mentorship program where they go out in the community and help educate the public about how 911 works and how it's used.
Great. Are there any skill sets that you are required to have to be a 911 operator?
There's no real skill sets. We do look for people that are detail-oriented and ability to multitask, because you will be typing and talking on the phone at the same time, which can be difficult.
Great. And so you don't need any kind of education, like college degree or anything. You'll train people?
Correct. All the training is done on the job. All you need is a high school diploma or GED and be 18 years old.
Okay, great. And so where would somebody go to apply for a position if they're interested in being in 911 communications?
You can go to
dispatcher?
join911.com, or you can go to the Cobb County Human Resources page and follow the links there.
Okay, so once they apply for it, what is the process, the application process?
It's about a 3 to 6 month long process, starting with the application and a background check. And once you've cleared both those hurdles, then it's a data entry test, making sure you can type both quickly and accurately. And once you've gotten through there, there's a practical test where you watch some videos and practice taking 911 calls and dispatching calls, seeing how your decision-making process works.
Right. So on an average day, how many calls do you think you would receive?
On an average day, a dispatcher will answer between 30 to 60 calls, both emergency and non-emergency.
Great. And so these calls can be stuff about, like, what things would calls be?
Pretty much anything you can think of. You have a home invasion, a car accident, medical issues, or just car accidents and mundane things. People calling in about potholes and traffic lights being out. Just anything. If you can't think of who you're supposed to call, people call 911.
I think somebody called 911 one time, I heard, because they weren't getting their food fast enough or something.
We do have that. People get in arguments about things at restaurants, and they call us to tell us about it.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a while. What is there a story or something that sticks out in your mind that just would exemplify or show what it's about being a dispatcher?
Yeah. What it's all about is getting people the help they need. And my most memorable calls, I took a call from a 7-year-old boy whose mother had gone into labor, and I helped him help his mom deliver the baby, which was a first for me and for him, I'm sure.
Wow, I'm sure. If a 7-year-old doing that, that's great. So in a situation like that, are you trained? Do you have like books that you go through to read, or do you work with somebody?
Yes, we use an emergency medical dispatch program that walks us through what we need to do. There's initial training with that and continuation of training. So there's prompts to help us go through it. If this happens, we can do this. If this happens, we can do something else. So
great. And so again, if you want to remind people where they can apply for these positions.
They can apply at joincobb911.com or at the Cobb County Human Resources page.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's our show. We hope to see you next time.